So I've got this problem with Roku. I've got a 160 put on Roku and a 120 put on Roku. Expiring January 2023. They were originally put spreads that got completely breached. So I thought it was smart to roll it as a naked put, but I went with a very far away strike, thinking that it was never going to be reached. And yesterday, if we look at Roku, it actually, I believe it broke it. It had a low of 160, doesn't really show here, but it almost, it basically reached my short strike of 160. And it has a PE ratio of 80, so it's still a profitable company. I don't understand why it's dropping this hard. But now the problem is that it's taking a lot of buying power out of me. So if I go to my buying power calculator here, Roku right now, market price is 160, and I've got a 160 strike. It's taking 8,000 US buying power out of me, and my whole account is about 40,000, so it's a lot. And I've got another one at 120. This one's taking 4,000 buying power. So together, they're taking 12,000 US. So that's about, what is that? That's about 15,000 Canadian on a 40,000 account. So that's too much. It doesn't make sense. And if I go back to my account here, positions, and obviously it's showing a big unrealized loss. So I was thinking of rolling it to January 2024 just to lower the strikes. But obviously it's going to be harder now because Roku dropped. It would have been better when Roku was at 250. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but not long ago, Roku jumped one day from 200 to 250. And now all of a sudden it's at 160 as if nothing happened. As if that news that made it jump from 200 to 250. What happened to that news? It just completely vanished. All right, so now some subscribers have suggested that I could change the underlying. Why do I have to stick with Roku? So the reason why I like to stick with the same stock is because it has already dropped. So because it already made a big movement downwards, then there's a better chance that it eventually comes back up. It means that my short strike is safer because the stock already made a big move drop. If I think that the move is unjustified, but the fact that it takes 50% buying power, 50% margin requirement, so it's taking a whole lot more buying power. So if I were to replace it with an underlying, people have suggested, why don't I just replace it with the Qs? So if I replace it with the Qs, now obviously the Qs is much safer. It's an ETF. It only takes 20% margin requirement, so it's going to take less buying power. But the ETF is at 380, so it's going to take more buying power because the stock is higher. And the problem is Roku is at an all-time low or at a 52-week low, but the triple Qs is almost at an all-time highs. So it doesn't feel safe to sell a naked put when a stock is at all-time highs. It feels safer to sell a put when it's at a 52-week low, for example, assuming that it's undeservingly at a 52-week low. So now if I want to change underlying completely, I need to find something else that has dropped as well at a 52-week low, and that I can replace it with, that I think has a better chance of recovering better than Roku, and that is taking less buying power out of me. If for example, if I take the Qs, so if I want to close Roku, let's say I want to close the 160, I'm going to pay about $35 or $36. So now I need to find something else that pays me $36, but takes less buying power than 8,000 US. So if I need to find that, here, let's look at an example with the Qs here. I'm just going to use Yahoo Finance so I can get the bid and ask prices of the options. So let's say I replace it with the same expiry. So I go to January 2023 and I want to replace the put with something that pays $36. So if I go to the Qs and look for something that pays $36, I'm going to have to go to 380. So I can replace the Roku 160 put with a triple Q's 380 put for the same expiry, and I basically just transferring the underlying. But which one's riskier? Roku 160 or triple Q's 380? Roku having dropped so much already, or triple Q still near all-time highs? Now if we look at the buying power for the triple Q's at 380, so triple Q is about 20% for sure. Market price is 380, and I would take a strike of 380. It's going to take 7,600, so it's still taking the same amount of buying power, except that I'd be holding a safer underlying, but an underlying that's near all-time highs and has a better chance of dropping. If the whole market drops, will Roku continue to drop, or can it be the outlier and do the opposite and come back up? Or maybe it won't drop. Maybe it won't drop as much as the rest of the market. So who knows? Now, what if I take out of the money strike, but then just do way more strikes? What if I take like a really safe strike, like, I don't know, 200, and I've got 2.8 here, but I need to make up for, I need $36. So 36 divided by 2.8, I need 13 contracts about. So what if I do the 200 strike, but do 13 contracts on the queues? So 200 strike, as you can see, it would take about 1,000 buying power, maybe even less. But then I would do 13 contracts. So it would take 13,000. It still would take 13,000 buying power, which is more, but I would have a much safer strike. 200 on the queues would be definitely safer than Roku at 160. But I'd have 13 contracts. If the triple Qs end up falling to 200, which is unlikely but still possible, it would take more buying power than I have. If it drops to, let's say, 300, it would take 13,000, which is okay, not bad. If it drops to 250, it would take 13,000 as well. 220, 31,000. Yeah, that's when it starts to increase. So another underlying that I think I'm gonna end up replacing it with is Zoom. I like Zoom. It dropped a lot. Zoom, it's at a 52-week low. It made a new 52-week low. It's got a P ratio of 43, so better than Roku. But most importantly, it's got a margin requirement of 30%. So it's going to take less buying power. It's also a stock that dropped ridiculous a lot. I mean, from 600 to almost 160 now. I like the product. Now, it does have a lot of competitors. It has Slack as well right now that has the huddle function, but it doesn't have the webcam function, but it's not complicated to add eventually. So it has a lot of competition, but Zoom still has that special something that makes me prefer to use it over anything else. It's easy to use, it's fast, it doesn't lag, and it's got a lot of interesting features. You can record the screen, you can record the conversation, you can annotate. There's a lot of features which makes Zoom special and just easy to use. Now, does that mean that revenues will continue to grow? Who knows? But I would feel more comfortable holding Zoom than Roku for sure. Now let's look. Now if I look at Zoom now, I need something that pays $36 for January 2023. So let's choose the expiry January 2023. And let's go to the put side and look for something that pays $36. So right now, what pays $36 on, am I still January 2023? Yeah, January 2023. Doesn't look updated though. Let's refresh. All right, January 2023. Puts for January 2023. So I could sell, if I want $36, I could sell the 165 put or even the 170. Let's say 160, no, 170. Let's say 170. Actually, the bid is 35, the ask is 37. So yeah, I'm gonna say 165 if I want to replace it with Roku. That'll give me my $36. Now let's see how much buying power that'll take. Now, it's a 30% margin requirement stock. Market price is at 159, so it would be an in the money strike, and I would take the 165. I would do one contract. So it would take 5370 buying power out of me to roll it to Zoom January 2023, 165 put instead of holding the 160 Roku. I said Roku takes about, I think I said 8,000. Let's do it again. 50, 15, 160 and 160. Yeah, it takes about 8,000. So I'd be saving about 3,000 US of buying power. So that'll help with the buying power. Not as much as I wanted to, but still a pretty good savings. And then now if I want, I can roll it to January 2024 and then lower the strike if I wanted to. So if I go to January 2024, and I feel more comfortable holding Zoom than Roku. So actually even January 2024 is not that great. I got 31 and 41 over here, so that would probably put me at 36. So maybe I can take the 150 strike. Doesn't drop by that much. See, Roku premiums are much better. That's the other advantage. But for Roku, but it's taking too much buying power. So if I go to Zoom here and go on the 150 strike, and the stock is trading at 159, and it's a 30% margin requirement stock, it would take 38.70. But obviously, if it drops to 150, it's gonna come back up to 4. Yeah, it's not bad. I think I would prefer to do that then. So it looks like I'm most likely gonna be rolling it to January 2024 for a 150 strike on Zoom, just to release some buying power. Now, I've got the 120 strike as well on Roku. That one's not taking that much, but I guess I can roll it as well. 120, I have to pay $15 for it. Let's see how much buying power it's taking. So 50% and 15. Market price is what, 160. Strike is 120. It's taking 4,000. So if I replace it with a Zoom put for January 2024, I need something that pays, I said $15 or $16. So 13 and 17. So maybe I'd have to take the 105 put, yeah, to get more than $15 or $16. So the 105 put, if I take that instead while the stock is trading at 159 and I take the 105 put, it would take 525. So I would go from 12,000 buying power, I said, with Roku. So I'd go with 12,000 US to 525 plus, what was the amount again? I think I said 4,000. Let's do it again. So it would market price 160, and I think I said 150, right? So 3870 plus 525. So 525 plus 3870. So I would go from 12,000 US buying power to 4395 buying power if I switch from Roku January 2023 puts to Zoom January 2024 puts. And if I just keep now let's compare if I keep it Roku and move it to January 24. So I would need $36 for the 160 put. So let's see where I can find $36 in the January 24th. Here, let me just make sure I'm on January 2024. So now I'm looking for $36 on Roku. So I can get it around here. So the 140 put. So if I put the 140 here, so it would still take 6,000. So already more than Zoom. Zoom was about 3,800, I believe. So it's already $2,000 more than Zoom. And as for the 120, I need about $16. So wow, see that's what's good. I can go much lower. I can go to 115. I would still collect, and I would collect a nice credit that would help me out with my buying power. So if I go to 115 on the Roku, but see, it would still take a lot of buying power. 3,500 plus 6,000, so about 9,000 buying power. So it'll be 9,000 compared to Zoom's 4395. So still Zoom is better. Plus it already, I think I'd prefer to hold Zoom instead of Roku. But Roku premiums are definitely juicier. But it sucks that it's a 50% margin requirement stock with Questrade. If it was 30, then it would be much, much better. Look at this, 2870. And then the other one was 115, 575. Yeah, the only problem really is because it's a 50% margin requirement stock, it's taking too much buying power. So I think that's what I'm going to do on Monday is roll Roku to Zoom, convert it or transfer it to a Zoom. Basically, I'm changing the underlying, but I'm looking for something else similar to it that has dropped as much. And right now, all I can find is Zoom. Obviously, triple Qs would be much safer, but triple Qs at all-time highs or near all-time highs, so it doesn't make sense to transfer it to triple Qs. And it would take more buying power. I would need to add more contracts if I want to lower the strike as well. Alright, so I just want to share with you what I think I'll be doing with Roku puts that is eating up my buying power. So if you have any questions, leave in the comment section below. Like always, if you can open an account with Questrade to trade on the stock market, use my referral link below to get $50 in free commissions. Thanks for watching.